We have a significant update in the Matt Gaetz story. We've been talking about this one a lot, but it's just been confirmed that Joel Greenberg, one of Matt Gaetz' associates and friends, and a person involved in many of the same allegations as Gaetz, is almost certainly going to take a plea deal. I want to read you this reporting. It's breaking from CNN. It says, Joel Greenberg, a key figure in the ongoing investigation into Florida Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, is likely to strike a plea deal with federal prosecutors, his attorney and prosecutors said in court Thursday. Federal government lawyers and Greenberg's attorney told the judge the deal was not finalized, but there is an expectation that within the next couple of months, it could be resolved. We believe this case will be a plea, the federal attorney told the judge. A deal would put pressure on Gaetz, as Greenberg would have to share what he knows about his friend and associate. And so, for lack of a better term, Gaetz is being flipped. Right now, Greenberg is basically saying, I'm going to be a snitch, I'm going to sing like a jailbird because you have a much bigger fish to fry in Matt Gaetz. And so, I'm going to tell you what I know in exchange for lenience, for a lesser sentence or what have you. Maybe he can avoid jail time or reduce his jail time. But this is serious because Greenberg is a very close person to Gaetz. Throughout all of these investigations, Greenberg has been there as an associate, as a friend, and maybe as an accomplice to a lot of what Matt Gaetz has been accused of doing. And because of that closeness, there's a certain credibility there that he would bring to an investigation. And when you're looking to build evidence, Greenberg being there alongside Gaetz, whether it's physically or digitally as he did these things, is incredibly valuable evidence. And so this is a huge blow to Gaetz because when you're talking about these sorts of cases, there's not always traditional evidence. And so having testimony from someone that was there, that's knowledgeable, that knows Gaetz and the context of his life is damning. This is damning stuff. When you're looking at one particular piece of evidence that could give an increased likelihood that Gaetz will be officially charged and indicted and potentially convicted, this is one of those. Having somebody flip on you to give themselves protection to tell the truth about you could very well put you behind bars. And they're saying it's going to take a couple months. This might not be the sort of thing that hits right away immediately because there's likely a lot to go through. But I don't think that's a good thing for Gaetz. I think that's a bad thing because it likely means they have tons and tons and tons and tons of questions to ask Mr. Greenberg about what he knows about what Mr. Gaetz did and didn't do. Who did he pay? Who did he solicit? What did he do? Maybe he knows something about the Bahamas trip we covered earlier today. This really does sink him. And again, this is why you've seen Gaetz just be totally abandoned. There's been some good research showing that, Sean Hannity at Fox News in particular has just totally discarded this guy. There's quotes from Gaetz in 2018 basically saying, I was on Hannity almost every night and I love it and I love Sean and he's a big supporter. And then immediately he disappears. Like, it's obvious that everyone knows Gaetz is poison damaged goods now. It was actually the case that Matt Gaetz was the most likely or second most likely guest on Hannity's show in the last few years, excluding other people that work for Fox News. So excluding other Fox News staff, Matt Gaetz was one of the central guests on Hannity, and he's nowhere to be found. That's because everyone knows he's going down, and no one wants to go down with SS Gaetz. No one wants to go down with the boat of Matt Gaetz, because people like Greenberg, everyone's flipping on it. The walls are closing in, and I think his days are numbered.